Joining us now on the Sports Wrap, Ken Ryan, Pawtucket native, former big league pitcher, pitched for the Red Sox and the Phillies throughout the majority of the 1990s, part of the steroid era, a right-handed pitcher joining us here. Ken's our baseball analyst, and nobody to bring in better who knows the baseball region here in this part of the country than Ken. Ken, we have to start off with the big news. Big Papi, David Ortiz, becomes the 58th player ever to become a first ballot Hall of Famer. You wore the same jersey he wore in Boston at the same ballpark in front of the same fans. What legacy did David Ortiz leave, and what's the impact that he had on this region?
Incredible impact. I mean, you think about the Red Sox and what they did in 04, 07, what they did in 13 with him. He was the catalyst for all of those championships. The greatest Red Sox, other than Ted Williams. There's some great Kyle Yastrzemski, but when you think about winning, tradition, David Ortiz comes to the forefront, and very well deserved, and I'm very happy for him. And I think everybody in Red Sox Nation is very, very happy tonight.
You played on the Red Sox not too long before the 2004 World Series championship. The 86-year curse was broken. What was the franchise like leading up to that point, and how did it change with the help of Big Papi?
Well, I think that was always like looming over the franchise, that you had to win it, and then there was always so many things that happened. If it was Bucky Dent or Bill Buckner, there was always these events that happened over time that the memory was always losing. And with David Ortiz and with that team in 04, it broke everything. It just changed the mentality in baseball nation here in Boston. And all of a sudden we were champions. And anybody who played in the organization, a player from the past like myself, I didn't win any championships that year, but I was part of that family. And it just felt like to everybody that's grown up in this area, it was a monkey off our back. And it was a great, great time.
So David Ortiz gets in 77.9% of the votes. Two guys who were left off, Roger Clemens and Curt Schilling. You were teammates with both of them, one in Boston, one in Philadelphia. Your initial reactions on them not getting voted in after 10 years?
Well, I'll talk about Roger Clemens first. I played with Roger. Nobody worked harder than Roger Clemens. Roger, was a great pitcher before the whole issue of steroids blew up. I mean, he won a Cy Young in 86. He won one in 87. He won one in 91. When I think of the greatest pitchers of all time, to me, Roger Clemens is on that list. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about that. And when it comes to Curt Schilling, Curt may have not had the season numbers that some of the other Hall of Famers have had, but when you look at his postseason, no one was better in the postseason than Curt Schilling. And if he didn't make it because of what he said off the field or in social media or whatever his political views are, that's not a reason not to vote somebody into the Hall of Fame. So to me, I think if you look at his postseason numbers, I think he's worthy to be a Hall of Famer. I think some of the decisions that were made are questionable. I question them. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But both of those guys are worthy to be in the Hall of Fame.
And last question for you, Ken, so generous to give us some of your time tonight on short notice. Barry Bonds, obviously we know what he meant to the game and his place in the history books. Do you think he deserved to get in after being on the ballot 10 years again, like Clemens and Schilling, and not getting enough votes?
If you look at Barry Bonds and what he did before, let's say he started taking steroids, what he did with Pittsburgh, what he did with his early years with San Francisco, he was the best player in the National League. He was the best player. There was no question about it. So was he a Hall of Famer before 97, 98? He probably was. Unfortunately, there was a lot of players that were doing steroids then, Maury. A lot. It was a sign of the times, unfortunately. But again, you look at who was one of the greatest home run hitters of all time. It was Barry Bonds, and he would have been a Hall of Famer if this never happened. So I can see both sides of the argument. I think in my opinion, when it's all said and done, I think he's a Hall of Famer as well. It's just uncomfortable with the whole steroid situation. And I wish there was a way they could solve the situation. If it's putting an asterisk on someone's plaque when they go in the Hall of Fame, I don't know. But there are guys that are out there that definitely deserve to be in.
All right, that's Ken Ryan here on the Tuesday Night Sports Wrap. We'll be back right after this.